Hi, it's James Patterson here from Valiant. We help brokers, accountants, and financial planners to instantly diversify into any type of commercial and business finance. Some of them have fantastic stories, some really insightful experience that can be useful to our other partners. And so we started to highlight and really share their stories. And today, it's great to be able to welcome Patricia Kyriacou from PK Lending.
Thank you.
Patricia, welcome
Thank you
for
for having
joining
me.
us. So, Patricia, we've known each other for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I've always been in awe of your work ethic. I'm always interested in to hear the insights that you're seeing and also the story of sort of, where you came from and growing up and going into the broking industry and your kind of fast growth and sort of where you've been and where you've got to today. But I'd love to, if you could maybe tell us what it is you do and also what mission are you on?
Yeah. So I'm a finance broker in general. Like I want to be able to do an all lending to everyone. So I don't ever want to turn away a client or say, oh, I've got someone for this. I want to be able to, for my clients, yes, I can help. And
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
And it's from residential, commercial, and all asset lending as well.
Right.
So that's something that I really want to do. I've seen brokers or just a market gap where there's a lot of that just specifically want to do one thing, and that's great. But I find when you're a business owner or just a client of mine in general, from they want a car, they want a house,
Yep.
and they want an investment property,
Yep.
and they want to keep growing.
Yep.
So being able to offer everything and just be that go-to person, I think is valuable.
No, that's a good point. And I think it's a big trend in market we're seeing with a lot of clients wanting one broker or one
Yeah.
company they can go to for everything. And so you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you initially went in just to residential mortgage broking and then it was later that you maybe looked to sort of diversify? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked at a dealership for just under 11 years. So when I changed the career and I did asset finance at the back end of that career, I wanted to see if I would like the mortgage side of things and to see what career path it could take. So I went and into a franchise and to see, and I was like really monitoring what leads I was bringing into what the franchise was as a brand and tracking it from there and my growth to see what the market is like, what people want or what my clients wanted and the type of people I attracted as well. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so you made the transition from dealership into broking?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about that transition and I guess sort of why the decision.
It was like a breakup when I, being in a company for nearly 11 years.
11 years, wow.
Growing up with the owners, seeing them as huge mentors and people I speak to even weekly still, and I still sell cars. So having that like is another niche compared to a broker as well. I can source a car for you too.
Okay.
So having my phone ringing for multiple different things has been great, but I was surrounded by really good people there. So I took a long service leave. I took a month off. I drove to Uluru and went for some hiking and came back and something wasn't right. Like I just felt like it was time for a change. I didn't know what it was. I liked the finance part. I didn't like doing a 70-hour work week anymore. I wanted that flexibility for myself to either whether I'm traveling to be able to work while traveling, or if I wanted to have that flexibility for whatever reason that I could do both. And that's what interests me in becoming a mortgage broker.
Okay.
And to see if I enjoyed the process.
Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, I'm always fascinated by, I speak to, brokers day in, day out, and it's always interesting to hear the story, the transition, the why of why they got into it. Some's leaving the corporate world. Others are starting a young family. They want the flexibility, the time. Many realize when they get into it, maybe that flexibility and time isn't there, at least initially, and you got to build to that point. But I think when you first sort of got into residential mortgage broking, was there anything you found that was different or sort of unexpected to what you were maybe expecting going into it?
Yes, definitely. I got told at the beginning it would take you nearly 2 years to start seeing some good commissions or steady clientele and everything to come from it. And being a faster pace from the dealership world, I was like, I reckon I can do it in 6 months. And that was something for me as a challenge. it definitely didn't take 6 months. It took longer, but that was more so you can't control when a settlement's going to be as a residential broker. Like, when can you put a settlement date, whether you're refinancing or there's a purchase? It's so many different factors. So it takes longer than 6 months really to grow compared to asset finance, where it's a very different space.
Tell me a little bit more about, the transition, the first 6, 12, 18 months. Was there any other sort of challenges that you found that maybe you weren't expecting, or maybe you were expecting and, they grew into something else? Or, it'd be great to sort of hear that initial sort of growth period and transition.
I found mentoring. Mentoring to me was a challenge. A challenge when you start keeping track of the leads that you're bringing in, your self-generated business. I was writing down each month, how many leads I was bringing in, what type of leads they were. Were they self-employed? Were they PAYG? Was it asset? What were they wanting? And then trying to see where my business is going to go, the growth that other brokers, or having that mentor. And in residential or mortgages, you need a mentor for about 2 years, your first 2 years. So it's a hard way to put it, but I think I outgrew mentors at times. I think sometimes I wasn't aligned with what they were wanting to what I was wanting. And I also find for brokers, when you first start off as well, the fact that they take a chunk of that income when you are bringing everything in, if the value isn't there, it's a very hard pill to swallow. And that was something I found a challenge for me.
Got it.
Really. We met, I think it was nearly 2 years ago in Gosford at one of your events.
Yes.
And hearing the way things that Valiant did, starting to send some asset leads to you just to help on the compliance end for me while I was going through all of that as well. It was great. Like, the partnership that we've had and how it's gone has really helped me, I would say, as peace of mind while I've got everything else happening as well.
Okay. Well, look, that's great to hear. And I think we met it in a moment where you were sort of, in that transition period and sort of growing. And, you're exactly right. Like, we deal with a lot of new to market brokers, a lot of brokers that are, just starting out, just starting to grow. They're looking maybe for a mentor. They're looking for a business coach. And we know some great business coaches that we work with, but it's a minefield finding that right one. Like, how do you, and it's not a marriage, but it's almost like a marriage. Like, at least you're with them for 2 years, which is maybe a lot of marriages these days, but hopefully not. But you've got this, individual that you hope is going to be mentoring you, adding that value because they're taking the chunk of the commission on the deals. And so, and it's great to hear, Valiant was able to play a part in sort of maybe helping build your cash flow early on with faster settlements versus resi and sort of the early diversification of income. But it'd be great to hear, I think, it's sometimes useful to go back and hear a bit about, stories growing up or sort of your background and maybe anything particular that shaped or formed who you are today. Because, I think today is a great example. Like, you told me you get up at 4 a.m. every day. Today you're up at 3, you hit the gym, you walk the dogs. We're filming this very early and you drove down from the Central Coast and done that all very early. And so you're up early every morning. I see the way that you work with clients and sort of the way you are. So I'd be really interested to get a feel and hear sort of, was there anything growing up around that might have helped shape that work ethic, that, wanting to genuinely help?
Yes, definitely. I would say as a kid, and I have a lot of role models in my life, people I really have given me inspiration to why I have that drive that I do. My dad's self-employed, has been for 25 years. He is nearly 60 and still works 6-7 days a week and huge hours. So throughout growing up, I saw that every single day, whether he was sick, injured, whatever he was doing, that was every single day, something that happened. I have a background, so I'm Greek, as well as my mum's Australian. So I was born here, but I am very fortunate. I actually spoke both languages when I was a kid. And then mum and dad, we lived in Sydney for quite some time. We bought a farm up in the Hunter Valley area on the Central Coast. And then I just had this balance of life that I love. At the time, I probably didn't value it as a kid. Like, I didn't want to feed my horse. I didn't want to do the farm work sometimes, but I had a horse. I had a motorbike. I had this lifestyle and we were constantly in Sydney as well. It was, the country and city sort of growing up.
Yeah.
That was my world. And I feel very privileged now looking back on it to have that environment because it is very special. I also think it helped the person that I am because, we had jobs as kids. You had to feed your horse, you had to do these things, you helped out on the farm. That's how you had a farm. Like you had to support it and do those different things. So having from kid going to school, having those chores or farm work that you would have. And when I was at school, because of that lifestyle, I probably saw it very socially. For me, it was, you were there for friends. For me, it was soccer. I was playing soccer throughout school. And we ended up one time in high school, we made it to the grand final. So I was playing for the school. I was also then playing on the weekends, which took my dad about 3 years to let me play soccer on the weekend. So it was quite a big thing to be able to do it. And I was probably year 10 when I was playing for the school. And I asked my dad to close his business for like a couple of hours to come watch me play. And when I did, we won. I actually scored in this game. So we won the final. Came running up. I was so excited. And here's this man who works 6-7 days a week between that, running a business, having 3 kids on a farm. And he said to me, he goes, "Are you going to go back to school and study?" And it hit me. Like, it was like, you could have punched me in the face at that moment from that high. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, are you going to go back to school and study now? I'm going back to work. So is that what you're going to be doing?" I was like, "Dad, we just won." And he goes, "That's fine. But what are you going to do next?" So that was a big milestone for me. He said, "If you're not going to go back to school and study and work really hard at that, you need to find a trade and find what you want to do." And he actually left the game after that. And I went home with other parents and, went back to school.
Wow.
To me, it's a memory that I have early on well, it's great. You've hit that goal. You wanted that. But then what's next? That's how I looked at it.
Wow.
So I'm actually a pastry chef by trade. Then I didn't want to work those shift work. I didn't want to do those hours. So I was qualified, did that for a while, then went into the dealership. Went from sales, worked my way up through, and then ended that in finance, knowing I really enjoyed it, and then grew from there. So each career change I have done was for a balance or for a chapter in life, which it's great. I still make cakes for all the barbecues and all the family events, but having that skill set has been also a part of my drive and everything that I've been doing as well.
Wow. That's it's inspirational, I think, in terms of like the work ethic and, building to the continued work ethic I see in you today. I think it must have been hard as a kid, though. Your dad coming to a game, you're so excited, you've just won the final, you've scored the goal.
Yeah.
And your dad turned, like, how did that make you feel?
I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like, in that moment, I was like, "Really?" But I knew exactly what he meant. So when I went and got an apprenticeship, and I'm very fortunate. I've never had a hard time finding work ever throughout any stage of life. I was working on the weekends in a bakery on a Saturday morning for work experience to see if I liked it. That was at 2 a.m. I would get there and I worked for over 6 months every Saturday for free just to see if I liked it.
Wow.
And where the bakery was to where we were living on the farm, it was about 40 minutes of a drive. My dad would get up with me I was on my L's and I would drive down. And that's how we started the day. And funnily enough, that same weekend, the owner of the bakery asked if I wanted an apprenticeship. The same time, Dad said, "Are you going to go back to study or are you going to find a trade?" And I just took that opportunity. It's rare for me to say no to something, just like with this interview. It's way out of my comfort zone. It goes against most of the things that I do. But I said yes because I think it's important for everything that we're doing and to talk about it more. And not for, clients or anything like that. But I think there's a lot of other people like myself or maybe similar in the journeys that we've had that you've met as well, that this might help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's super interesting. And I always just love hearing sort of the backstories around sort of what made you who you are today. And with a father like that, I can see exactly where the work ethic comes from and that dedication to your trade or what you do. I think in terms of where you're at now with the business, so you went through the transition, you've come through looking at different mentoring support and there's a few things that you've done. You've told me tidbits here and there, and I'd love if you could share. We talked about some of the challenges, but is there anything that you do? Don't feel you don't have to share your trade secrets, but is there any things that you're doing sort of day in, day out? Maybe talk me to like your daily routine, maybe anything that you do just to go that extra for clients, or things that you try and have done in your business to really kind of elevate and accelerate. Because I know you're ambitious and you want to grow fast and you are growing fast, but I'd love to hear about, a little bit about that.
Something for me, regardless of what scale I get to, I want people to be able to pick up the phone and call me. One that I answer straight away. So you and I do it all the time. It's rare that we have phone tag. Normally, I try and answer the phone call straight away. And it's not just for you, it's for everyone. Of course, yes, there's off days where my timing's just, I'm playing phone tennis the whole day. It's important to me that I want to be known that I get back to people. That's something that's super important. If I don't know the answer, I'll find it. Or I'm surrounding myself with the right people to help me to get to where I want to be as well, whether it's dealing with yourselves or then it's also, the right conveyances, the right accountants, just to help when the clients come to me. And I guess I look at their financials just as much. And if there's gaps that are missing and they may need an accountant, but they don't know where to go, it's great to be able to have that. I've got someone who can help you and just, I don't know, but let me find out. So that's something to me, regardless on what scale I want to be known for. And the other thing, even if you're not my client, the amount of clients or people I speak to, I'm like, oh, well, let me know if I can help, but maybe ask these questions to your broker is something that, and they go, wow, okay, or they're surprised. So there's people that I don't have that are clients that I'm still contact with who just, let me know if I can help.
Yes. And what you just said there is so that's you. Like, I think there's not a phone call we have had where at some point during the phone call you haven't said, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And I see you doing that with clients. And, I think that sort of natural givingness is already paying dividends for you. Like, I'm sure out of that comes serendipitous introductions and, referrals. It'd be great to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, I feel very grateful for that. I have my clients that when I left the dealership and I sent text messages out to everyone, just giving them an update and just saying, hi, everyone, I've actually changed careers. I'm now going to be able to offer all of these different things. If you need any help with anything from the car side of things as well, let me know. I still have that contact there and I can help. I think I had a call the other day asking if I could help book the car in for service. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Let me make a call. And I did it. It took me 2 calls instead of being booked out for 2 weeks. I got it in the very next day. And it was nothing for me to do. Like, it was 2 calls, but it helped them for whatever reason it was. And thank you so much for still being that person. And that was for someone I pretty much sold a car to 5 years ago that they wanted that. So it was nice to be able to help, but for everything. The next call was, is it okay if I give your number to someone because they need a broker? Of course, let me know. On Sundays is probably one of the only days I probably won't answer those calls, but I do respond to the text messages and the emails, of course. So there's always a bit of that work-life balance that you want to have, but if you can help someone, why wouldn't you?
Oh, I love that. And so you're at now with the business, you're doing the residential mortgage broking, you're doing asset finance, working capital, maybe starting to get more into commercial property, construction development. Tell me a little bit about sort of your clients, like who are your typical clients? You've probably got a broad, PAYG, self-employed. It'd be great to hear a bit about sort of, your typical clients and I guess what type of finance they're normally sort of looking for.
Yeah. And it's a great question because it's something I've been looking at as well on my end to see who I'm attracting and what type of clients as well that are want to work with me too. And as broad as this sounds, which isn't going to answer it too much for you, people who are working really hard, they're my clients. The ones who, really are doing those big days like I am, who are getting up early and on shift work and on the farms, and they've got 3 different jobs going on, 10 different hats, and, the mum that's got 2 kids working, doing it all solo, and somehow is making it all work and wants to know if she can buy a house. Or people who is, where do I get my investment property from? So as broad as it is, a lot of my clients, I ask them, and one of my questions that is a standout for me when we do speak is, what are your goals? Like, what would you like in the next 5 years? And it's also talking to people about like, well, once we get you this house, what's next? Very much like to when I was brought up and that soccer grand final, and it was like, are you going back to school? What's next from here? So once we get there, which it's achievable, then what would you like? And having that conversation from the beginning and listening. I do write it down. It's rare. Normally I have a pen and paper somewhere myself, but that to me is important, is, listening and making sure you understand what the clients are wanting as well, to work with them to get that goal. Instead of being like, no, save up a bit more, come back to me in a few months. Or it's, how I do it is, yes, we can make that happen. But I think if we do it this way and we save this amount, this will get you to where you want to be. Instead of saying, get back to me in a couple of months when you've got this much. I had that happen to me. I bought my first house at 18. So when I was growing my property portfolio, by 24, I had 4 properties.
Wow.
And I went into the branch back then, which was more common than going to a broker, and trying to understand, well, if I've got these, why can't I get another one? And to get told no, or you need to wait, or you didn't know where to go. And that's where I find brokers are valuable, because we have so many different options or lenders. And then there's people who will explain things better to help you get to those goals. It's valuable. It's important. It builds your property portfolio.
I love that it seems you approach clients very much from like client for life type mentality, and like looking holistic, like what are your life goals personally, business wise, not knowing you as like, how can I help you achieve them? But also, as you've experienced and grown, there's a lot you can teach them, and, guidance you can give your clients as well.
And relate to as well. I think I said it to a client yesterday. It's very hard to tell people to buy investment properties and that they can do it. And then if you're not doing it yourself, how are you meant to relate to them in that way, or understand that pressure? Because when I talk about investment properties to people who, whether they've had one or they don't, and they're factoring, can I afford it? I'm like, okay, well, just remember, pretty much when you buy that property, the first month's worth of rent is gone. Like you that's on you for that repayment. You're not going to get it straight away. The real estate agent's going to want to cut. Then they've got X amount they take from it each week. So when you're factoring everything in, let's run through it properly. And, for some people, that extra few $100s that they haven't thought of, or that extra month's repayment that they haven't considered in that moment because no one's told them, is so valuable. And I went, I didn't get told those things. And all of a sudden, there's an extra few $1,000s straight away that you don't realize. And you're like, okay. So it's important to, as brokers, I think, as well, remember what it's like in that situation. And also what your goals are. Like, I have clients who have started with me with only 2-3 properties. Now we're on number 9. And it's great. And I'm not saying everyone is like that works with me, but their goals, and, running through those figures and explaining it all. Plus you've got the insurance to it all. Is that okay? Making sure they're comfortable knowing those things before we jump through the hoops, or helping them factor it in, is important.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. And I think with the clients that you have, obviously there's a broad range of clients, different finance needs. A lot of brokers that I speak to each day, it's amazing, especially ones that just focus on residential broking. Because you're so focused on getting the deal done, a lot of brokers don't take that extra 5-10 minutes to, especially to the self-employed clients, to ask, how's your business going? Are you growing? What are you plans for the next 12 months? Are you purchasing any equipment? Are you finding clients are late in paying you that might open cash flow? They won't go that extra sort of 5-10 minutes. And it can be a bit of a discipline to remember outside of the resi lending because it's so intense to get the settlement, get the payment, the finance in place. But is there any sort of typical questions that you ask your clients to sort of help them, not only with guidance, but sort of unlock maybe finance needs, maybe more on the self-employed side, any finance needs they might have that maybe they weren't even aware that could help their business sort of get to where they need to get to?
Yeah, definitely. I would say when I'm running through the questions when I'm first speaking to someone, and we always want to show more money coming in than going out, but also what debts they have. And then I actually even ask why, like what year model is the car that you have, to what car loan it is, to see how it was structured. Having that background from the dealership, it's a different approach to it because in a dealership, you have a target when you're writing loans. And if you get to your target, you get more of a percentage. So how they structure your loan is very different to, say, as a broker, how we would do it. To me, it's not about making a huge amount in it for that transaction. It's about helping. For someone at a dealership, it would be helping, yes, to do a service to make it quick, but it's for a reason for them internally, unless it's on like a 1%, very different story. But when I'm asking about their cars for a self-employed person, what they have, what business loans, you can kind of gauge there's a pattern in it normally. I'm like, how many Ks are on that car? Knowing that soon they're probably going to need to upgrade it. And then whether on my end, I've put a note in my diary to call them in that 6 months time, or I've got an understanding of like, well, let's talk about that in a few months time when we get this sorted, because I can help with that too. So it's always just, it's not one transaction. It's just, if you help someone, then it flows through into everything, I find, because you ask it all up front. I keep diary notes of it. I think when we speak every now and then, if we've got something planned, I'm pretty sure I've got a note about it from when we spoke to when I might check in on you again as well. And if I do that with everything in my business, I find it brings in business.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess on that, is there any scenarios that you can think of that we've maybe done together, or you've done with Valiant, where you've sort of helped a client out of a tight spot or get to where they needed to get to with their finance?
Yeah, I think there's a couple recently that I've picked up where people are like, I don't know if you can help. Can you see? And I'll ask questions before we even speak about it. And I normally try and find out what the client's wanting for their goals, like going back to what I said. Their credit score, I'll try and ask, is there anything I should know about it? One of the standouts was there was a broker who tried to help a client who probably didn't read lender policy and was throwing the application out there to see if it would stick for anyone. He made 3 inquiries for this person's application. And on asset finance, we both know that can make and break a deal. It affects your credit score. It affects the interest rate you could get. And you look at it and you go, what's going on? And why would you do it that way? So asking those questions up front is so important. But let me see what I can do. We normally workshop the deals before we've even submitted it. That's something that's in our skill set that we will ask on that front. And while I've got everything going on, that's where Valiant comes in, and the person I work with closely here, we probably speak 4 times a day, and we're workshopping ways on how to do it, not submitting an application until we have an answer. And for that person who had their application submitted 3 times, 3 hits on their credit score to get a no, and we've workshopped it and make it all work by compliance, doing the right thing, keeping in touch. It's valuable. It stands out.
No, I think it's a great point. And, there's still brokers out there that just will take clients to multiple lenders and get those multiple hard checks. And I think, it's a real value out of what we do, where it's only soft credit checks up front. We're going to workshop the deal. We're going to talk to multiple lender BDMs. We're going to de-risk the deal, make sure the lenders are comfortable with it, then come back to, the broker and the client. If it's where it needs to be, then only then do we take it for the formal application, the hard credit check. So it's all risk-free to find them the best solution. If it's not a solution for them, then they can walk away, no harm done. We can let them know, hey, if you can do X, Y, Z in this time frame, come back, then we can help you at that stage. So I think that's a great value add. I think it's a real service. And I like that you go back to saying to the client, well, great, you want this finance. But actually, tell me about your long-term goals. Look at the business and in the individual holistically. A lot of the business owners, it's an individual. They're almost a consumer, right?
That's
A
right.
lot of small businesses, just them in the business. So it's kind of not only where does the business want to go, but what do you want personally? Because there's no point getting a business to somewhere where it's going to conflict with their personal family goals. So that's really interesting. I like that you look at holistically. I think we look at businesses and business owners very similar. But is there any other ways you found with our partnership, Valiant helps to support your business or support sort of your growth?
I think the communication end of it, like while I'm here at the moment, or if I have other meetings, and unfortunately, you double book yourself. It's just all a part of it. You can't be everywhere at once. There's times where I'm driving 5 hours to get somewhere to see clients, and I might have patchy reception with all the rural lending that I do.
Yes.
So having Valiant, I communicate with one person and tell them, hey, this is part of my day. Can you please CC me in, make sure that we're all on top of these things for the client so nothing's ever an issue. So when I'm trying to grow and everything my goals are within the business, I know I'm working with you guys to get the best outcome and grow in all areas, which is peace of mind for me as well. It's a reflection of my business with being around the right people. And it's the same with life too. You only want to surround yourselves with good people who are going to help you. And I look at that in business as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great to hear. And I think we work with a lot of, brokers, accountants, financial planners who maybe they want to get more into commercial business themselves. You've obviously got the asset knowledge. Some brokers have knowledge in a specific business or commercial space, but they want to not drop the ball on the resi side. They want to be able to focus on resi, focus on growing their business, doing what they do best, which a lot of the time is bring in the business, speaking with clients, and then, having Valiant or one place to go to for everything else. It's great to be able to sort of support our partners like that and, feel that it's making a difference to them and their clients. But I think the resi broker industry, I think it's in a really interesting moment right now. You've got obviously government schemes that have just been launching the first homeowners, maybe heating up the market. You've got maybe the economy, a bit of optimism returning. You've got AI that's, underlying, and where is that going to go and how is that going to affect the residential mortgage broker industry? It'd be great. How do you feel at the moment about the resi broker industry specifically? And I guess especially for people who are thinking about joining the industry as a broker, just new to coming into it, is there anything that maybe they should be thinking about? But I'd love to hear your point of view on the industry at the moment.
I think rates seem to be the most popular conversation topic at the moment, or crystal ball. Are they going to go down, or what they're going to go down to, and what's going on? And yes, rates are important. It's huge. It helps with your borrowing capacity for sure. It should be front of mind. When I first bought my house, the rates were 7%, 7.7. I'm pretty sure I fixed in for 2 years when I first bought. So, and if you look at it over a 10-year period, I think throughout COVID, it was very much like it was special, these 1%, 2% rates that we saw. And, I think I fixed mine in for 1.84. I would never see that rate again. I think it was amazing, but I never relied on it. I think it was a great opportunity for us. I don't think we'll ever see it again in our lifetime. And if we do, amazing. Like that would be exciting. But when I'm talking to clients about rates and what's happening in the market, the one thing that seems to be consistent is property goes up. I haven't seen it go down unless, there's something really bad with the property for it to go down, and you can renovate it and again, make money in it if you can. But in that time, for people who are unsure about property, what they want to do, I think it's good to buy into it. You always have the option of renting it out if you want to, or you can sell it at the point, but property is always going up, it seems. Rent seems to always, there's a demand for it too. What I tell my clients, if you're happy and comfortable with that repayment, and even for people who are early on that may not have that deposit in place, I give them a guide on, if you're paying X amount a week in rent and you can save X amount a week, your repayments on that, what you're putting together and, allowing for to live, that's an X amount of a loan. So your lifestyle's there. You wouldn't be paying rent anymore. And if you put that savings onto your mortgage, like you can do it, and you're not paying someone else's mortgage. And they go, okay. So it's a different mindset to it as well. I think there's exciting times. Like spring seems to be a lot of agents that I work with. They're always hot and fizzy come this time of year, just with a lot of listings coming up as well. I think we're seeing with that change from first home buyers and the grants, there'll be a lot more applications for pre-approvals, people looking. But I always find that there's normally a buyer for everything, which is very real estate agent speaking. It's rare that you see a property listed for a really long time. And if it is, it's for a reason. But there's opportunities out there for everyone.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. I think it's been a turbulent few years in the market. And, from yourself and brokers I speak to every day, seems like there's more optimism growing, and, it's exciting for everyone, I think. So let's hope it continues to go. But I think I wanted to pick your brain. I think in what historically has been a sort of male-dominated industry, is there anything you found or anything you might want to comment around sort of how your experience around that?
It still is, that's for sure. If you look at every career I've been in is male dominated. So there's not many pastry chefs that are female. There wasn't too many salespeople that were female in dealerships. Or if they were female, it was receptionist roles or a certain type of product they were selling in that sort of market. So and now in finance, I think there's some amazing finance brokers who are women. And I love the ones that I've met so far and that networking. And there's a lot of like women in finance groups that you can be a part of or networks and days. I must admit, I haven't gone to many of them yet. But there's definitely that option there and people you can reach out to and always willing to help as well. So it's great to have that support. I think good brokers stand out regardless on if they're men, women, whatever they're doing, where they're located. I know someone who lives on the Central Coast who has a broker in WA, and that's because they stood out. Like that's huge. It just shows if you're good at your job, you can be anywhere and help people. In this industry.
I think you're so right. And I think especially with the tools we have available, the support that's now out there for brokers, it's the ability that coming fairly new into the industry, or even if you've been in the industry a few years and you wanted to diversify and more into commercial business or grow your business, there's a lot of support there, both the AI tools that are the building, but also still that face-to-face human interaction, getting to the events, the networking events, learning from other people who've already been there, done that. Collaborating. I think that's really important as well.
And AI, I think, is going to change our industry a little bit. Maybe on the back end, it might make it simpler, hopefully, for some, systems, and the systems as a broker that we use. There's a lot of, it can be more streamlined for sure. There's improvement there. But what I'm finding, my clients still want to have that conversation with me. The amount of times I get asked, what are you up to today? You can't exactly put that in AI and expect there's a genuine answer going to come back. They want to know when you see where they spend every dollar and you're asking, everything about them really from what they're spending their money on. They want someone they can trust. They want that human relationship still. I don't think many people, and I myself, I don't want to be a number to someone. Don't want that transaction. Something that I do as well. Nearly all my clients will get a happy birthday message from me on their birthday. They get a happy Easter, Merry Christmas, and a check-in. I'll just be like, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How was that holiday you went on? And I think that's valuable. It's important. You can relate to them. And then, normally in those calls, they have a question for you too that they've been meaning to call you on. But it's just, it opens the door to know that you're not just a number.
And I think it's interesting, in a growingly automated AI world, maybe that human element is the kind of key differentiator that we'll have. And you're so right. There's so many phone calls that I'll have, with brokers or clients, and where you'll just be catching up. How's things? How's life? How's the kids, etc. They weren't intending to call you with a finance need, but actually through that, the business is doing this, oh, how are you going to do that? Well, I hadn't thought about how I'm going to, well, actually finance can help fill that. Oh, okay. And then, scenarios just come out of these conversations. So, I think that element, and that's not only on the phone, but obviously just meeting people in person and connections and finding out, like you said, what are their lifetime goals, etc., and then fitting in, how you can help support that to draw out those finance needs. So yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely helps.
And I guess in a crowded resi market, a lot of people would argue new brokers entering the market every day, especially on the resi side. Is there any sort of key differentiators that you have that make you unique? You've probably talked to a few of them around sort of how you approach your work and your clients, but is there any other differentiators that you've seen valuable for you, or maybe valuable for other brokers entering the market?
I would say if you're unsure on something, make a couple of calls like to BDMs and things, or to another broker if you have that relationship. It's not like it's a problem. Like if someone called me and said, where would you place this application? I would tell them what I would do in that scenario.
Yeah.
I think, brokers, we can use each other and bounce off each other in a positive way. We're not competing.
Yeah.
The clients picked you for a reason. They like you. They want to work with you. And if you don't have the answer, you can get it. And yes, there's huge amount of brokers out there. And if for some reason that relationship breaks down, they can find another one really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you help them and you're being proactive about it, I would have no issue if someone called me. I would give my advice or, suggest something, which at the beginning, I found it was something that you shouldn't do that. But even if throughout my time, I rang people who weren't my mentor and asked, where would you place this, or what would you do in this scenario?
Yeah.
And they would give me workarounds. We would talk about it. It wasn't like, well, you should go see that person that you've picked. They went, okay, well, if you want to catch up and I'd love to hear about your journey in 12 months' time, let's do a check-in. So I think we can all help each other and grow. And I think there's enough business out there for everyone.
Yeah. And I love that. I think you've said that to me multiple times, like, when we're talking about competition in the market, new brokers coming in, it's always changing, always new people are coming up with new ideas. And it's like, there's enough business for everyone. If you're good at what you do, you differentiate. And I think with the human element coming through, that's a nice way to differentiate, because no one can copy exactly, Patricia, who you are. So I think that's a big one. Look, our time, unfortunately, is up for today. I can hear brokers in the office coming in to start doing some deals and helping some clients and some partners. So just wanted to thank you for your time and for coming in. And thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing what makes you uniquely you and your business uniquely your business. We've always enjoyed working with you and continue to enjoy working with you. So thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.